Hi, we continue with the second part of the business model explanation. As a reminder, the business model is the description on how we create value, we deliver value, and we capture value. Understanding that our job in the organization is to maximize profit now and in the future while ensuring the well being of our stakeholders. So far, we have seen the customer segment, the value proposition, and the channels. Let's continue. Client relationships. Client relationship describes the type of relationship that the organization wants to have with each client segment. It is closely related to the delivery of the product. But here we talk about what type of interaction, okay, more than delivery, what kind of interaction we want with the customer. We have personal, self-service, automated, and co-creation. Personal, and they hold some similar concepts. In personal, I will take care of my customer in a personal manner. It's very similar to co-creation. Okay, here you come to me or I go to you, and I show you what we have, products, services, and you buy. It's one-on-one. In self-service, you go to a vending machine, you get your soda, and you leave. Or you go to the supermarket, you get your stuff, and you leave. In automated, also, it's some of them are closely related. In automated, it's similar to self-service, except that the options are even more limited. Okay, something could be automated and self-service in a way, or we have um, a charge that is automatically. Can a company have personal and automated? Yes, or self-service and automated. Absolutely. How about co-creation? In co-creation, the customer and I build the solution together. So an example of this would be an event manager. Okay, so I have some options. It is personal, but it's co-created because with your input and my offer, then we create the event that you want. Okay, a hair salon would also be a co-creation. Not in my case, but in most cases, it would be like, what do you need? What do you want? So that's the description of the client relationship. Do I want to interact very closely with my clients or not? In a way, when Kayak and Expedia and all those websites started, they kind of moved the client relationship away from the airlines. They had already done so with the travel agencies, but that brings a new type of client relationship. So I can either buy directly through the website. I can call the airline. I could call the travel agency. I can buy their semi directly through Expedia or Kayak. You see, it's closely related to the channel. But in here, what we want to understand is what kind of relationship do I want to have with the customer? Not always I will want to have a personalized relationship. How costly is each channel? Okay, obviously, personal and co-creation might be a little bit more expensive than self-sellers of automated. And is it integrated with other channels? Can I do the co-creation and at the same time make it self-service in a way? Okay. Here, more than you telling me, oh, this is personal self-service or automated, what I want you to think of is how am I going to interact with the client and what avenues of interaction I'm going to give the client. The client can come to my office, the client can contact me by phone, by email, by chat. Am I going to have a bot on the website or am I actually going to have somebody, a person, taking care of the customer questions face to face? Then we come to revenues, okay? How am I going to generate income through each client segment? Is it possible that I only have one revenue stream? Yes, it's possible. But if you have different client segments, most likely you'll have different streams of revenue. The more streams of revenue we have, the stronger our business model. So, how are we capturing value? It could be a transaction. So, each time you use the your ATM card, your bank card, in another ATM's in another bank, then you get a transaction uh, fee, right? Okay, so that would be transactional. Pay per use. Well, this would be something like Uber. Every time I use Uber or Didi or Cabify, I am charged. I am not charged a membership. I'm charged every time I use it. A subscription, that would be more like Netflix or the gym, right? I pay monthly. It doesn't really matter how many times I use it. Sometimes we will have light users, sometimes we'll have heavy users, but I pay per month. Or through advertising, which would be the revenue stream that Spotify uses on its free service. So the more revenue streams that we have, the better. That will be the description. Now let's think about our client segment. So how much do they pay? Well, we should know that on average, a client pays this much. On average, the client comes this many times. Like we have to know very well what each of our client segments is doing. How do they pay? Oh, they mostly pay in cash. Okay, then let's figure out how to improve our revenue stream when they mostly pay in cash. Oh no, they mostly pay with debit cards or credit cards or PayPal. Okay, how do they pay? How would they like to pay? For example, if something is available only in cash, then could we make it available in debit card or credit card? What happened in Uber? Initially in Mexico, it was for you to use it, you must have a debit or credit card. But in order to increase the revenue streams, they open it up to cash. So here I want you to think about what are the current revenue streams that these organizations have and what else can you bring into the table. Then we move on to key resources. Here we describe the most important assets that we need in order for the business model to work. Okay. So for example, in key resources is what do we need? Here we have to think about physical items. Like do we need a manufacturing line? Do we need an office building? Do we need land? Do we need planes? Do we need cars? What do we need? Intellectual. Do we need a patent to operate this? Do we need very special human resources to make this work? Oh, we need engineers. We need these types of engineers. We also need our people to know to speak Portuguese and Spanish and English and Mandarin. Okay, what do we need? And of course, how much money would we need on a regular base in order to get this going? What are the key resources? What must be there in place for this business to work? Key activities closely related to the key resources. Here we have to identify what must be done, not what we need to have, but what must be done in order for us to perform in the business model. So, what are we focusing on? Are we a high end? Are we a low cost? Is design very important, like in the Apple products? Is efficiency very important, like in low cost brands that strive like for you to pay the lowest price possible, like Walmart? Is service important? Are we thinking El Palacio de Hierro, where service is very important? Or are we thinking technology, okay, like Netflix? So what do we need to do? What are the key activities? What do we need to do better than anyone else in order to create value for our customer? That could be solve problems, quality, social responsibility, or SCP. These key activities are closely tied to the value creation part, to the value proposition of our business model. Key relations. Here we describe the network of suppliers, partner, and allies. Who do we have to work with closely in order for the business model to work? So, for example, what is going to be our relationship with the government, with NGOs, which stands for non-government organizations? Do we need an alliance with companies that produce complements, add-ons to our product and services? Should we do a joint venture? Are we going to go international? Do we need to do a joint venture in order to make it easy for our business model to perform? What is the relationship that we're going to hold with suppliers? And sometimes we should even consider the relationship that we're going to have with our competition. And finally, cost structure. Okay, here we identify and analyze what is the structure that the business, in terms of cost, that the business model has to have in order to perform, to produce that product or service. So here we focus on what are the most expensive key resources. Is it land? Is it technology? Is it talent? Is it research and development? What is the heaviest of our resources and our activities in the cost structure? Here it's important to understand that we must absolutely consider our key resources and activities and build the cost structure from there. If you're new to the organization, you might not know the details of the cost structure, and that is fine. What I want you to understand is generally, what do you think, based on your interaction with the company as a user, perhaps, what do you think are the most important items that must go in the cost structure for this to happen? Now, all these 9 segments uh, that we have discussed play nicely on the business model canvas, but the problem that I see with the canvas is that it's very easy to just remain on the surface, like only to describe. And in this course, I want you not only to describe, but also to analyze. Remembering that the business model is the description of value creation, value delivery, and value capture. Thanks.